Hello everyone, MarcusWolfe here, welcoming you back to another episode of Path of the Midnight Sun. Last we left off, we managed to find our way to this, seemingly abandoned Amaranth Fort in the desert of Midbar. Midbar? Yes, Midbar. And it's time to see what awaits us here. Clearly, Rhea has some past dealings with this area, because Christoph did say this is where he, her, and Ornieres first met. So, backstory time. And I am curious, how do they know each other? I am very curious on that, and this is my chance to figure that out. These are chains. If I'm not mistaken, we saw something similar in the other fortress. Yes, I remember them. Susaku, do you think they have any relevance to Rhea? I don't know. What do you ask, Fatratros? That time we took a bath in the hot springs. I noticed that Rhea had scars around her wrists, as if she had been taken prisoner in the past. I find it hard to think of Princess Rhea as someone who would be imprisoned, to be perfectly honest. That's because you don't consider that she could have been more fragile in the past than she appears today. It's hard to empathize when I can't even remember my own past, but I'll keep that in mind for sure. I actually forgot about that she did have marks on her wrists, and I think because of how that spa scene happened, I had to take that scar out of the picture for obvious reasons, because it was just way too revealing for YouTube. But yeah, she did have scars on her wrists, for sure. And it was shown during the spa scene. And, you know, it was kind of interesting. It was a small detail, but small enough that you could choose to not play the ladies' version of the spa scene, and then you learn now, back at the spa, that Fatratros saw her with scars. So that's actually a pretty nice touch. It is a key detail about her, but small enough to say, you know what, we can mention this later. So very smart with detailing there, that it could have been discovered now or way back when. Very nice detailing. Woohoo! Can you tell me why you're so attracted to these barrel? Oh, what? These are scorched mana drops, like the ones we found in the other fort. Nini, look at this. I'm not sure, but this one looks different to me. You're right. That one, it's an actual mana crest. It seems completely unusable, but here, without a shadow of a doubt. Someone tried to create a mana crest. But when did that happen? I have no idea. However, I did find this. Would you mind? Of course. Let me read it for you. Oh, okay, you know, that's fair. She's been blind all her life. So, fair enough that she can't read. Of course, let me read it for you. Thank you, Nini. Yet she can't read, which is fair. This one is also a little burnt, as if someone tried to destroy it. Our attempts at recreating an inexhaustible source of mana, like that of the Demon King, have been a failure. In order to achieve the same level of energy, we need an artificial vessel for that mana, which we have called the Mana Crest. Huh, interesting. So as we thought, the Mana Crests were created by Amaranth. Wait, there's more. It is also necessary to find a person who can bear the weight of all the mana accumulated in the Mana Crest. So far, however, the Mana Crests have been created... So far, however, the Mana Crests we've created have imploded, proving to be failures. We have attracted numerous children into our circles in the hope that they would be compatible, but the chosen few have died. That's horrible! The combined forces of Magnolia and Pilum have succeeded in tracking us down. Soon we must cease our operations. And that's it. The rest was burnt. It doesn't look like there was much else, though. How come such precious information was just left here anyway? I wonder. It looks like an old report. The date. Whoa. It's 13 years ago. That's a long time ago. So, Amaranth had abandoned their experiments in this area for 13 years. It looks like that. But since the awakening of the Demon King, they've restarted their wicked experiments. The Mana Crest. A tool to recreate the Demon King's limited mana. And just as there's a vassal for the Demon King, the Mana Crest also needs a suitable bearer. If so, then who am I? Am I the only one capable of using this power? I don't quite think so. Cassiopana was able to use it, although I don't think she had total control over it. So, it seems to be a varying degree. Okay, yes, who can use it, but then, person by person, a varying degree. Ornieres can seem to use it no problem. He might as well just be taking candy from a store. Siapana, she seemed to have enough control to use it once. Though to be fair, she did cast a very strong piece of magic, so that is perfectly fair. Huh. Again, the wand chooses the wizard, Mr. Potter. Yes, Christoph? Christoph, about what you said earlier. Yeah, buddy? I understand that we already knew each other before this journey. When did that happen? I hoped you'd remember on your own, but in the end you just came and asked me. I'm sorry. I've already tried everything, but I've never been able to bring back any memories. Hey, it's okay. I know it's not your fault. So, basically, we met here when we were very young. How old were we? About 10, I think. It was even before I became Ria's retainer. I thought so. Ria has bad memories here. And Christoph confirms that they've known each other for a long time and knows about what happened to her here. So they were orphans themselves. Well, okay, Ria was not well, I don't know. Maybe Ria was adopted into the royal family? I don't know. But Ornieres and Christoph, I would assume, were orphans. So I would have to think that Ria was one as well. This is quite far from Magnolia. I get you're confused, but let me explain, alright? Back in the day, there had been a big operation in this region. Basically, Magnolia and Pylum wanted to eradicate the cult of Amaranth and had organized an expedition. It must be the same one mentioned in the scroll we just found. I was just a kid at the time, following my brother on the expedition. He was a knight of Pylum. Wait. You're from Pylum? Yeah. So long ago, though. Haven't you noticed a radiant eagle on my jacket? A symbol of Pylum. Huh. I guess that makes sense. And Ria, on the other hand? She was following her sister Phoebe, who had just become Empress at a very young age. Oh, okay, so they weren't... Okay, got it. So they weren't, whatchamacallit. At least with Christoph and Ria, they weren't orphans. Moreover, they were prisoners of war, POWs. Okay, that's fair. So, was I coming from Pylum like you? Christoph, please, answer me. I need to know. We met you here, buddy. In Midbar. No, I was being specific. We met you in this fort. So, if I'm neither a Pylumese or a Magnolian, what was I doing here? I don't know. You never told us. And under what circumstances did we meet here, then? That... Well, I I think it's better if you ask Rhea about it. Christoph! Hey, don't be mad at me, buddy, okay? We kept it from you all this time because... Well, because we didn't want to add to your already heavy burden. We were just waiting for the right moment. But we would have told you, I swear. Look, I don't agree with you, but... I guess I understand. Suzaku, that's not to say that I feel good about this, okay? And I preferred you talked about it to me sooner. We were all too focused on saving the vassal back then. But, yeah, you're right. We definitely could have managed things a lot better. Listen, shouldn't we go look for Rhea now? We all know she can take care of herself, but this fort could be teeming with Amaranth members. Sure, we've already given her enough of the space she required, and I still have many questions that need to be answered. So, at the end, we don't know what Ornieres was doing here. Was he someone doing experiments? Was he a POW? Was he an orphan? We don't know. But with Christoph and Rhea, at least, they were POWs. That is fair. That is perfectly fair. So that gives a lot more backstory and as to what the hell happened with the three of them, how they know each other. Kind of makes me wonder, who is Ornieres? It really makes me wonder. I don't even have a guess. I really don't. Azurite and I will keep watch. If we spot any Amaranth members, we'll notify you immediately. Yeah, leave it to us, man. They're in for some trouble. Ugh, these revolting walls are starting to make me nauseous. No. Maybe it's the revelations that have shaken me. Still, there's something not quite right about my emotions. Hey. Forgive us, Nini, but we overheard what you and Christoph said earlier. Oh, don't worry about it. It's not like we were trying to hide it. So, did you meet Rhea and Christoph here many years ago? Seems so, but there are still some matters to be settled. Questions that need answering. Nini, I'm sorry you had to find out like this. Don't worry, Shiori. It's not... Wait a minute. Don't tell me that. Shiori, did you know about this? With your old power, you should have been aware of all these things. No, it's clear. Sheesh. Fair point, she would have known. But clearly she had a reason for not telling us. And I would assume it's the same reason as Christoph and Rhea. Loss of memory. I do believe she had a reason for not saying anything.
Useless knight.
Knowing Shiori, she definitely didn't mean to hurt you. My sister is a considerate person who cares about you and everyone else. You should know that full well.
I'm so sorry.
It's like Fa and Christoph said. You were already immensely troubled, and knowing you were bound to Amaranth would have only... I get your point, but why did all of you decide you knew what would make me suffer or not? Why didn't you just tell me from the beginning instead of protecting me like you would a child? Oh, come on. Knock it off, will you? Rhea! Oh, thank goodness you're okay. Who do you think you're talking to? Of course I'm okay.
Sorry for that.
I just needed some time to settle my inner turmoil stemming from the few past events I remembered. Why the long face? Ah, wait. Don't tell me. I think I understand. It's the same reason as yours. Although, remember is probably the wrong verb in my case. Then let's cut to the chase. If you have any questions, ask me. What happened 13 years ago? 13 years ago, Hey, useless knight. I can understand your desire to know your past, but don't forget that these events were clearly traumatic for Rhea, so be gentle. It warms my heart that you care about me, Father Tross, but I'm fine now, really. 13 years ago, I was here with Phoebe on an expedition to eradicate Amaranth. Yes, I heard. There were some documents from that time in the other room. However, the cult became aware of our presence and someone intruded into the camp at night. I was kidnapped and brought here. Oh. Rhea! I didn't know anything about it. I barely ate or slept. They tortured me, trying to extract information. The chains were so tight that they flayed my wrists. To this day, I still have those scars. No. I can see why she has been feeling uncomfortable ever since she set foot in this country. Rhea, I'm sorry. That's all in the past. I'm a strong woman. Just know that we will always be here for you, Rhea. It goes without saying, but I agree with Shiori completely. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, everyone. She has been through a lot, too. What experiments were conducted here? The usual Amaranth business. They worship the Demon King and try to recreate his power to get closer to him. By recreating, you mean the monocrests? In a way, yes. You remember what the matriarch said, right?
The monocrest.
An awakened monocrest can even compete with Helios and seal away his demonic powers. Doesn't it go against the cult's interest to seal the Demon King's strength, though? Who knows? Perhaps they wanted his power for themselves. Or they never intended to seal it completely. I wonder what the cult is really up to. Speaking of which, we found some kind of diary earlier. Yes, that's right. Let me explain its contents. We saw a diary? I thought it was just a scroll. I see. This information could be crucial to our investigation. I didn't realize there were such parallels between the Vassal and the Monocrest bearers. It's quite curious indeed. What now? Huh. How did you meet Christoph? Christoph?
That's Christoph for you.
Hey, feels good to be the center of attention for once. We met each other during Midbar and Pylam's combined operation here. He wasn't your retainer yet, then? No, he only became that afterwards. I was impressed with him. With Christoph? When he was a kid? I was already phenomenal back then. Impossible to resist me, you know. Every princess needs a jester indeed. Good choice, Rhea. Hey! I wonder what happened to convince Rhea to recruit Christoph as her attendant. In any case, is there anything else to discuss? I think that all the more pressing questions have been answered. Only one remains at this point. Rhea, it pains me to learn that you were taken prisoner in this fort. And it hurts me even more to know that you've suffered unimaginable abuse. One of the main reasons Rhea never told me about this is because, for you to remember these events, I can't imagine how painful it must have been for you. So, I apologize in advance if my words are going to bother you, but please, I need to know. Come on, it's not like you to be so formal. Did I used to live in this fort? I met you here for the first time, true. The second day I was taken prisoner. I was exhausted from torture. I only hoped that my sister would find me soon and rescue me. At that point, however, one person in this hostile place unexpectedly showed me kindness. Was it me? That's correct. I assumed you were one of the orphans adopted by Amaranth for their experiments. Then it's true. You secretly fed me, and tried to loosen my chains, but failed. You would have faced terrible punishment if you had been discovered, but you did it anyway. I don't know anything about my past self, but that's what I would have done today too. And then what happened? Did he set you free? No. Unfortunately, that was impossible. I was constantly guarded. It was already a miracle he managed to give me some food. But shortly afterwards, our forces broke into the fort. A fierce battle began. In the midst of all the chaos, I snuck into the dungeon and almost got yourself killed. It was more heroic than that, okay? Come on, Rhea. Anyway, our friend here and I managed to save you. You and me? Yes, you betrayed Amaranth. When the time was right, you subdued the guards with Christoph. Talk about child prodigies! At less than 10 years old, you had already saved a princess. Wow. So, I stayed with you two, didn't I? I formally requested that you and Christoph become my retainers, but they only accepted him. We were so disappointed, but a few influential nobles wanted to avoid the rumor that a former orphan of Amaranth was close to Rhea. I can understand that, all things considered. So we couldn't ignore your actions, of course. It was Her Holiness Soraya who brought you into Pilum and trained you as a holy knight, Nini. The matriarch herself took me in? Yes, and she made sure your origins were covered up. It's not strange for the church to shelter orphans. Wow. I mean, it's a lot to just take in. I know. It's probably a bit traumatic to learn all of this at once. We would have told you the truth earlier, but as the bearer of the monocrest, we couldn't risk upsetting you. Your situation was already fragile, and the whole vassal situation was delicate as well. I understand that now. And I can't blame you, any of you, knowing what we've been through. They have all been dependent on my power, and they've silently watched over my well-being. You'll need some time, buddy, but don't forget, we're here for you, okay? As you were there for us 13 years ago. Thank you. But if I'm being honest, you're all overestimating the impact this has on me. It hurts, yes, but only to a point. How so? Now that I've finally found out more about my past, I still can't seem to associate it with myself. Nini, it almost feels like you're talking about someone else.
Sorry for that.
I was afraid this might happen. If I can't even empathize with my past self, then who am I now? A rather interesting question.